Welcome to the Awareness Angle, simplifying cybersecurity awareness. This is the podcast that brings you the latest cybersecurity news from the past week and gives you the security awareness angle on it. All views and opinions expressed in this podcast are our own and do not reflect those of our employers. I'm Ant Davis here again, and with me, of course, is my co-host, Luke Pettigrew. You all right, Luke?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
Good. I'm good. Busy week?
Yeah, busy as usual. Also, I need to get used to calling you Ant now.
Oh, I know. I've undergone a rebrand. Do you know what it is? Since when I joined my new job, I was Anthony.Davis6.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I don't want a number in my email address. And so looked at some variations, and that was the one that was available. So it was like, that will do. Ant.Davis. Nice, memorable. And
Yeah.
I was always Ant when I was a kid, but then kind of as I got older, it was like, for work and stuff, it was always, I must be Anthony or Oni to some people. So yeah, that's why. So
Cool.
I just put it everywhere now. So yes, you must get used to it. Right. We have got possibly the busiest episode we've ever had this week. We've got so much to get through. And I've actually forgotten one massive thing I had to add to the list as well that I haven't told you. So we'll see how that works. So let's get on with it, and let's get on with the news. Right. First up this week, Oracle Cloud deny that someone broke in and stole data. So this is how the story started. Sunday, the day before our last episode released, so 23rd. We record this on Thursday. We release them on a Monday. So Sunday, the 23rd of March, Oracle has straight up denied claims that its public cloud offering has been compromised and information stolen, says the Register. So a crook late last week advertised on a cybercrime forum what was alleged to be Oracle Cloud customer security keys and other sensitive data swiped from the IT giant. Well, that's what the Register published on the 23rd of March. On the 25th of March, they led with a story that said, there are perhaps 10,000 reasons to doubt Oracle Cloud security breach denial, as customers came forward and said, this is our data that's actually here exposed. So, yes, it appears that Oracle Cloud have had a massive breach and the data has been exposed. It's probably strongly denying it is probably not the best start, is it really?
No, I wonder why they chose that route, but yeah, probably not the best look.
I know. And just 10 hours ago, Computing UK, so that's Thursday, today, 27th, Oracle continues to dispute claims of major security breach.
I feel like this happened before with someone else. I can't quite remember who, but I'm sure there was someone that denied it all, and then it was the case that it was true. But
yeah, I think we talked about, I think going back a few episodes, I think there was someone that we spoke about that probably denied it, and then stuff came out. Just seeing here, I'm seeing actually, as I search for denies breach, I'm seeing that in China, Baidu, their Chinese search engine, says it's suffered an internal data breach, or have denied that they've suffered a data breach. So it seems to be the in thing to do at the moment. Deny. Deloitte, was it? It was Deloitte, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was it. It was Deloitte. Yeah, back in December, Deloitte denied that they'd been breached. Yeah, so yes, it's a bold move. Let's see if it pays off, I suppose.
Yeah.
If you're an Oracle Cloud customer, it might be worth having a word with Oracle and seeing how secure your data is.
Yeah.
Right. I'll move on to the next story. FBI warnings are true. Fake file converters do push malware. So FBI Denver field office, which seems really specific and niche for this. This is like Manchester Police. The FBI Denver field office received an increasing number of reports about file converters. So this is where criminals use a free online document converter tool to load malware onto computers. So you have, for example, the example they use, if you want to turn a .doc file into a .pdf file, you'd Google file converter, you'd upload the file, it'd spit out a PDF file, and it might work. But what you don't realize is that there's also some malware in that PDF file. And it's not just PDFs. There's one that joins multiple JPEG image files into one PDF, or then an MP3, MP4 downloading tool. So I've used these tools before.
Yeah, I probably have at one point trying to convert something.
You kind of feel sometimes like I think I've used, so I tell you, I've used like to optimize GIFs, to make GIFs smaller. I've used them to change file types. I used to use them to change .mobi files into EPUB files, for example, to get them compatible with a Kindle. So these online conversion tools do happen, and you think, oh, it's only an image. You know, what harm can be done? Which is fine, but actually, images can contain malware. You know, it's it might not just be an image that it spits out. The other thing with these tools,
or it says it's an image, but it's not.
It says it's an image, but when you run it, it doesn't do anything, and then you run it again, and it doesn't do anything, but it's doing something. The other thing with these tools, which people always forget, is, and I think organizations would struggle with this, is the data privacy issue that a lot of these tools have. You know, if someone wants to convert a file, the minute you upload it to random cloud website, that file's gone, you know, and if that file did contain names, addresses, confidential data, anything like that, it's all in the ether. It's all disappeared and in the cloud now. So they're a massive data privacy concern as well. Absolutely. So that's that's an interesting one. So yes, don't use online file converters. So
a lot of the times as well, people don't realize that you could convert a doc with like Google Drive or something and then download it as a PDF. There's obviously easier ways potentially to do things that people might not know. I'm sure other stuff does it.
Even on a Windows PC, I think you can print to PDF, and I think you could do that on a Mac as well. So if you just print, I think save as PDF is an option natively. And so you can do that in any, like I can do it on a web page, you know, I can do it on anything, just print as PDF, and that works. The article here has shared an example of a page called DocuFlex. Says cybersecurity researcher Will Thomas shared some sites that claimed to be online document converters, such as docu-flex.com and pdfixers.com. Don't go to those domains. They are not friendly. These sites are actually no longer available, but they distributed malware named pdfixers.exe and docuflex.exe, which are both detected as malware. And there's all kinds of stuff. One of them was actually a WordPress site. So yeah, it's really easy. And the malware is like full-blown ransomware malware. It's like the bad stuff. So don't upload your files to online file converters. That's the advice. That's what you need to tell your people. Tell them the right way to do this. Offer them. These tools are available. They don't need to seek them out. They're here. They're native. They're just not front and center. Yeah. So maybe there's a great awareness piece there. You know, did you know that you can save any file to a PDF just by saying print? Yeah, massive time save. FBI fake file converters. There you go. Right. Moving on. Next one's yours.
Yes, another Steam story. The platform from Valve where you can download your games and tools.
Yep.
So another game that has basically been containing malware. So basically it's a game that was called Sniper Phantom's Resolution, and basically it was a demo of a game that was supposed to come out, I guess in the coming months or something. And people noticed that the page for the game contained a bit of a strange looking description, and assets were potentially ones from other games, and maybe even some of the screenshots were from other games. And basically, yeah, people were downloading a demo of this game, but they were actually being redirected to download a piece of malware, which is information stealing malware. So they were getting info stealing malware instead of a game. So not the only game that's done this before. We saw it before with that pirate fight game not long ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite surprising that Steam's back in the news for basically the same thing. They don't seem to be very good at screening their platform.
I mean, they've dealt with it now. The game is no longer available. The minute they found it out, they got rid of it. But you're right. It's the kind of early verification, validation, trusted developer thing. Maybe there needs to be some checks and balances in place before you can publish a game to the public.
Maybe they will start to do that at this point. But an interesting thing on it was you download the game through Steam, and the developer was warning users to not download it from other sources because of malware. But in fact, the Steam version did contain stuff as well. So I think they were maybe trying to get these people to download it. And basically it says the installer was disguised as Windows Defender smartscreen.exe. So you'd think it's just a normal, it's the Microsoft application. It's not anything dodgy. But it contained
proper Trojan horse.
Yeah.
Contained
malware and everything else with that. And it says here about the developers behind this thing have a GitHub profile that was linked to crypto tools and Telegram bot toolkits. And GitHub removed the repository, and Valve has, as you said, deleted the game. But the advice, I guess, is to uninstall it if you have it. I don't think it automatically would have uninstalled at that point.
No.
So make sure you uninstall it if you have it, and be careful of what you're installing from Steam.
We spoke about Arcane InfoStealer. Was it last week or the week before? And InfoStealers, I don't feel like there's something that I think they've been around for years, but I think we're seeing a bit of a trend here with InfoStealers, because I think they're probably getting quite accessible and probably successful. And an InfoStealer, I mean, it can really take everything. It can just sit there and scoop up all of your data, card details, crypto wallets, And if you're into crypto, like, they could be getting a lot of money and stealing a lot of data on this for various sources as well. I think last time we spoke about it, I mentioned about them stealing game accounts. Like, you can buy Epic Game Store accounts that have access to a large variety of games, and they'll get access to your account, change your password, and try and take your account over. So it's it's definitely InfoStealers seem to be on trend at the moment, I think.
Yeah, no, for sure. Especially I guess targeting gamers, then potentially more likely to be into crypto, you could maybe argue.
Yeah.
And obviously their accounts could be valuable as well, as you mentioned. So
and the thing is as well, if there's any if someone's a passionate gamer and then their account gets taken and they get asked to pay a ransom, some people might pay a lot of money to get their Steam account back if they've got hours and hours of like game play and stuff in there. Right. Tell your people not to download dodgy games. The thing with that, there was no reviews on that. And like, someone's got to be the first, right? I'm all for like trying the latest things. And this is where they get you, because it's like, new game. This looks cool. Screenshots are amazing.
Yeah.
But like, if you're doing something, tell your people, if they're playing new games, bleeding edge tech, bleeding edge software, there might be dragons. Proceed with caution.
Yeah, definitely. Next story I've got. This one is 34 million plus orders have been exposed from Sydney Tools data breach, who it says here are Australia's Home Depot equivalent.
Right.
So I guess for the UK, like B&Q or something.
B&Q, yeah.
Maybe there's a bigger
Yeah.
one. I don't know. So yeah, this was a database that was exposed containing over 5,000 entries of data on the past and present employees.
Oh.
And it also exposed 34 million orders. Yeah. So this was a breach that contains names, surnames, branches of employment, salaries, sales targets. So
Wow.
not what you want to get leaked.
It's useful data to fish people with as well. That's the interesting thing about that. That's like they now have some interesting stuff to come at you with to paint a picture of appearing genuine.
Especially when they know all that information now.
Yeah. Yeah. So it might be they come to you as your payroll department or as your pension people or as your bank, or
that's the thing. So if your details are included in that, keep an eye out for phishing, because
you will now
be a target.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it somewhere as well, like mentions, so like obviously employees are now at risk, customers are at risk.
Yeah.
Their details of their orders are out there. So I don't know what is included in that, but it could obviously include some big orders of tools and their address even, potentially. I don't know what's exactly in it.
Mr. Pettigrew, I'm calling you regarding the purchase you made last month of a Black & Decker P1000 drill. Could I ask you a few questions about your product? And you could win a gift card. All I need from you is some, you're building that trust in that initial call, and then like lure them in further down. Could you give a review on the product? And then, we will pay you by, all we need from you is some bank details to transfer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing of this story actually was the company's response. I believe they haven't actually confirmed that they've secured the exposed database, which I'm surprised at. I would have thought you'd have secured it as soon as possible, but maybe they haven't told people. I don't know.
Maybe they don't know. Maybe they haven't got. Maybe it's a third party that controls it. Or can you imagine if it was like? I mean, if it was legacy and no one currently supported that. I don't know. Yes.
Yeah. So this breach is from February, but it says it was discovered on the 4th of February. It was disclosed on the 6th, and authorities were notified on the 13th. But this data is now out there. So not great.
Once it's out there, there's no getting it back in.
No.
That's what we tell our kids. When you post a picture on the internet, there's no deleting it.
Yeah. I guess the good thing is they were quick at reporting it, at least, and maybe letting people know, but the fact that they may have not secured it yet, but it seems a bit weird. Maybe I guess the message for people out there is to audit your databases and make sure they're secure and not just sitting there open for people to come and look at.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at this. The Cyber News report was published in late March 25, which is now, and said that at press time, the archive was still exposed on the internet and leaking data. The researchers said they tried to get in touch with Sydney Tools to get them to close the archive, but were unsuccessful.
Wow.
Interesting stat here. Unprotected databases remain one of the biggest causes of data leaks today. So it's that's an interesting one.
So that was that. Got one more story.
Yeah.
Which is the 23andMe, as we all know, has declared bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And so this is a story about how not long ago, I think this was yesterday, the day before, customers have been struggling to delete their data because their 23andMe's platform can't handle the influx of people. I think they fixed it now, but this was people were struggling to get onto the platform and delete their data, because obviously their DNA and their genetic data is out there, which then, if this data gets sold on, people don't want their DNA running around.
We could do a whole episode on 23andMe. It's and I thought this had come up. I didn't bring it because I thought you'd bring it. It's 23andMe. I used to work with someone who was, back when these things were blowing up, there was a load of like,
submit your DNA and it will give you a DNA profile, tell you what you're susceptible to, not susceptible to,
you know, find your family and all of that. And it's a security person I worked with a few years ago was scathing of these, like, never ever am I going to give my DNA to anyone, you know, not for
something like this.
And I read something a little while ago, back when 23andMe were in trouble, because they've been in trouble for a while. The CEO of 23andMe is Anne. I can't pronounce her surname. I'm sorry, but she was married to Sergey Brin, who was Google, who's the former president of Alphabet, the Google parent company. And she's the former CEO of YouTube. And I remember someone saying at the time, can you imagine if like 23andMe and Google like joined forces and got this data? Because then Google, who already know everything about you because everybody's got a Google account, and, you know, they know where you shop and they know how you browse and they know what you're looking for. But can you then imagine if they had your health data as well? Like they knew what illnesses you were prone to, and you know, if there was what if cancer ran in your family, and then they could like steer your search. Like the Big Brother is watching. This is like, whoever gets this 23andMe data,
it's fairly terrifying. Like
it's
the things that this is Bond villain stuff, the stuff that this could be used for. Yeah,
no,
don't let Elon Musk anywhere near it.
Definitely not. It's quite scary because it does say in the privacy policy that in terms of a bankruptcy or acquisition, they do allow data transfer, which I guess is probably the most valuable part of their business, right? So people are obviously going on there to delete it before it gets sold, which is on the May 14th, 2025. So if you've got data in 23andMe, go and delete it.
Yes, please. Like, don't forget, go and delete it. I did see someone questioning whether or not the data would actually truly be deleted. So yeah, that'd be an interesting one. I mean, I think legally they have to, but
yeah, I'm not too sure. But something else, I guess, along the same sort of lines with this sort of thing, I guess, is if you use something like this and you're done with it, download the data and delete your account because you probably don't need to use it ever again.
Think about all of the services you've ever signed up for online, ever,
and the data that resides in those. And then you think of some of them that no longer exist. You know, there's been some big websites, big brands that, you know, were huge at one time and then no longer exist. I had a Yahoo email address at one point that I don't think I had anymore. But I don't know. I could do. I've got no idea. So yeah, there's several big name websites that have probably failed. MySpace is still live. I found out the other day.
All right.
So we've all probably still got a MySpace account out there if you're old enough to have a MySpace. So yeah, it's when you're signing up, I think the key thing is before you give away all your data, think about how much you really need the service. And then if you're going to move away from a service, think about deleting your account and shutting it down. People are like, oh, I don't do Facebook anymore. But I bet you've still got an account on there. And I bet you still got, I bet there's a lovely social profile that I could build from your
Facebook account that you haven't logged into. I knew someone that had about 7 Facebook accounts because they kept forgetting the password, so they set themselves a new account up.
Right, yeah.
And it was like, oh, this is my new account because I'm locked out of my old one. And yeah, it's just like you're leaving a trail of breadcrumbs all the time. So I think it's really important that we do purge, do a little audit sometimes of the services we have. Yeah, 23andMe, that's scary. That data, like all of your DNA data, it's a Bond villain could have such a great day with that.
Yeah.
I mean, in worst case scenario, right? They'd know what. Imagine if they were like, I'm gonna send wasps out to everybody that's allergic to wasps or something like that. You know, that's like a really friendly one, but it's like, yeah, it's mad. Right. We had a bunch more stories. We're going to try something new and just run through the rest of this week's security news. So I'll read through these quite quickly. Fake SEM rush ad spreads malware. So a dodgy ad on Google, paid ads again, AdWords, is pretending to be SEM rush, the SEO tool. If you click on it, you land on a fake site that looks quite convincing that gives your device malware. So it looks almost exactly like the real site. So just a reminder that those paid ads on Google can be dangerous. Phishing kits made easy. Cybercriminals are using a tool called Tycoon that makes phishing really simple. It helps them trick people, steal passwords, and avoid getting caught. There's no technical skills needed. This is Phishing-as-a-Service. And this is, there's been 1 million Phishing-as-a-Service attacks in the last 2 months. You can rent this service. So, yes, phishing is becoming really, really easily accessible. If you've got an Amazon Alexa, starting March 28th, Amazon's getting rid. So starting this weekend, by the time this is published, this is already there. Amazon has got rid of a setting that stops your voice recordings being sent to Amazon. It was called Do Not Send Voice Recordings. So it meant that Alexa could respond locally on the device without sending your voice up to the cloud. Now that option's gone. All voice commands that you give to an Alexa will be processed in the cloud on Amazon servers. Amazon said the recordings will still be deleted straight after they're used, but users will now be moved to the Don't Save Recordings setting. The change is meant to support new AI-powered features which need more processing power than the devices can handle on their own. And Amazon said few people use the old setting anyway, but for those that did, it is a little step back in privacy controls. You might want to check your Amazon settings. Although, if you've got voice, you know, Amazon Alexa, Google Home, you're kind of selling your soul to the devil anyway, aren't you? I've got both. So, yeah. Meta might start charging for Facebook in the UK. I posted this on LinkedIn this week. 15 years ago, there used to be chain messages that went around Facebook going, Facebook will start charging. Post this on your wall and your Facebook icon will turn blue and then you won't get charged. Well, now Meta is thinking about charging UK users for Facebook and Instagram for no ads. Hasn't started yet, but it's a way to give people more privacy for a price. So if that happens, you'll choose before paying, but you'll choose between paying or getting ads. I'd rather not have ads, but I don't want to pay Meta. So this week, I knew locally there was a company that I was trying to deal with that were impacted by this. Their internet was down for like 2 days. Draytech internet routers got stuck in a restart loop over the weekend. A broken firmware update was to blame and it knocked people offline. So they also updated their firmware and it killed it. So similar to CrowdStrike, like last year, I think.
Yeah.
A fix is now available. There is now a version, but it's just a reminder that, well, no, you do need to install your updates. Don't let this put you off installing your updates, but sometimes they can go wrong. And then the last news item this week is NHS software provider fined $3 million over a data breach after ransomware attack. So, NHS software providers have been fined $3 million by the ICO over security failings that led to a ransomware attack. The Advanced Computer Software Group was fined for a breach that put personal information of 79,000 people at risk, the UK's data protection watchdog said. Hackers gained access to a healthcare professional's customer account that lacked multi-factor authentication. It included patients' phone numbers, medical records. Entry details for 890 home care patients were exposed. Whilst the company had installed MFA, the lack of complete coverage was criticised by the ICO. There we go. That's this week's news stories.
Lots of news.
That last one, entry details for 890 home care patients were exposed.
Vulnerable.
Here's
people.
how to get into the homes of 890. That's shocking. Oh, if that was my mum or my nan, I'd be furious. Yeah. But there we go. That's the importance of good security controls, and that is this week's news. Right. Let's move on. This week's awareness. We mentioned this last week, but we'll mention it again in just a couple of weeks. The National Cybersecurity Show is at the NEC in Birmingham, UK, between the 8th and the 10th of April. Registration is open. Looks like there's going to be lots of people there. I keep seeing people pop up on my LinkedIn feed. VIP, I'm presenting, we're exhibiting, I'm going to be a guest. Yeah, it looks like it should be good. I've not been before, but it's only a couple of hours drive for me. So, yes, 8th to the 10th of April. Let us know if you're going to the National Cybersecurity Show at the NEC in Birmingham.
Cool.
Right.
Maybe one time we'll have a little stand at one of these shows.
I think we should. It would just we could just take one along, pitch up on a corner, pop it up, and just be like, "Oh, we've paid for this. Yeah, we're here. What do you mean? Yeah, we're an exhibitor. Not a problem."
Yeah.
Or we could just walk around with a big sign on our back and just portable exhibit or something. Yeah. I'm going to go to that for the day, and I might take along microphone and phone camera, obviously, and see if I can get some interviews or something with some people. That should be good. Right. I had a couple of stories. I have one big thing that I want to talk to you about, but let me talk to you about these stories first. So this first one was something that I saw on LinkedIn, and this, I think, it was an interesting story. So this is from Anastasia Edwards. And Anastasia says, I recently purchased a treadmill. Standard enough, right? But what followed was anything but standard. I find out after the fact that the machine wouldn't operate unless I downloaded a companion app, which requires access to my phone calls. Not optional, not ignorable, non-negotiable. My cybersecurity instincts kicked in immediately. Why does a piece of fitness equipment need to access my call data? Why is basic product functionality being held hostage behind invasive permissions? That phrase, I like that. The basic product functionality being held hostage behind invasive permissions. So Anastasia reaches out to customer support multiple times, asking if there's a way to bypass the app, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. And every time, no, this is not possible. But then she digs through some forums and some niche threads and found a remote control override sequence that does enable manual mode. When she asked support directly, they continued to deny its existence. To most of us in this field, these tactics aren't surprising, but they are infuriating. This experience has hit a fresh fire under her mission to raise awareness in her community. She's taken this story directly to her BSQS audience, everyday citizens who don't live and breathe cybersecurity, and use it to illustrate how even the most ordinary devices can compromise Wi-Fi, compromise privacy and autonomy. This is why cyber core values matter, why education matters, and why anti-scam and cyber consciousness matters. In a world where phone call permissions, hang on, let me read this differently, like Trailer Guy.
In a world where phone call permissions are baked into your treadmill experience, we can't afford to let up. I find this insane. The fact that in order to use a treadmill, you had to give it access to your call records.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
I'm now worried about what apps I have installed that do the same thing.
Do you know what? I remember, so where we used to work, I remember when Pokemon Go came out, everyone was going crazy for Pokemon Go. And I think it was on Android. The permissions when they first launched Pokemon Go were godlike. Like Niantic needed access to absolutely everything. Contacts, phone, location. And it was like, whoa, hang on. I remember there being a bit of backlash about this, and then they dialed back the permissions to only like location and something else. But when it came out, I think they just went, yeah, we'll ask for everything. We'll see how that goes. It's like, wow.
Yeah, I guess the other thing is as well is if you have to create an account, which most of the time you have to, you're not going to read the terms and conditions, and you just, with those permissions, potentially it's okay to take your phone call data.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to use it for some purpose. I don't really know what, but
I think this is one way that Apple definitely. I haven't used Android for a while now, but Apple now, like the permissions requests are really crystal clear, and they never used to be. But Apple have upped their game on the privacy front now, and now it's really clear, like what permissions you're granting to an app.
Google, sometimes Android comes up and says, "You've got an app here that has permissions. Do you want to review it? You haven't used it in X amount of time or something like that."
That's nice. Yeah. The only thing I've seen that with on iOS is location. Like it prompts me if I still want to allow this access to my location, but I haven't
it might
seen
be similar
stuff.
I'm not sure. Yeah. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen one, but yeah.
There was another thing I saw on LinkedIn. Let me share this with you quickly. And this one's from Jason Haynick, who's quite an influential figure on LinkedIn. And I thought this was a really good question that he poses. Who's actually shaping workplace security culture, IT SecOps or the human risk management team? That question came up in a comment recently and it's been sitting with me. Every time IT or security engages an end user, culture is impacted. It doesn't matter if it's a policy violation, an access revocation, or a reminder to complete MFA. That moment sends a signal. It teaches users what kind of organization they work for and who they're working with. So obviously it begs the question, who do you want owning those user engagements? The team skilled in incident response or infrastructure maintenance, or the person trained in behavior, communications, and human risk? Because if we keep letting IT and SecOps be the voice of enforcement, don't be surprised when users stop listening, or worse, stop trusting. It's a lot to do with how we got to where we are at now. If you're managing HRM or SAP programs, you need to start thinking about who owns the message, not just the policy.
Interesting.
I mean, we've had conversations on stuff like this in the past, haven't we, about shaping the message that our enforcers put out, using the right phrasing and the right words and stuff.
All kinds of auto responders and even just the human type, like handwritten messages, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And obviously IT teams perhaps maybe aren't the best at translating something complex into something simple.
We've said before that quite often it's the awareness people that are the translators of it, or the strongest communicators in a function. And it is about, we're great at making it, we should be great at making it relatable, making it clear, and not getting bogged down in the technical or the detail, because most people don't understand the technical or the detail. Yeah. Right. I had a couple of more quick things. I saw this on Reddit, and this was an example of a SMS message that was a phishing email. your DOGE interview starts in 2 minutes. Elon Musk wants your personal input. Don't leave us hanging. Link expires soon. Win 26 dot blah, 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 blah. Stop to end. Yeah, there you go.
Looks pretty real.
It does, doesn't it? Imagine just getting a text message going, your DOGE interview starts in 2 minutes. Elon Musk wants your personal input. It's obviously a phishing email. But yeah, it makes you wonder. People probably fell for it. You know, it's they will literally. You should expect anything.
All they should have added on there is get some cryptocurrency. As if you click it now, that would have really increased their click rate.
Yes. Right, I had one last thing to show you, and I was going to show you this last week, but I couldn't find it. And it's an ad that I saw on Reddit from the UK government advertising two-step verification. And I saw this, and I have to admit, I was a little shocked. I was like, wow, UK government promoting 2FA. I was surprised. But it's an active advertising campaign they're currently running, which is really good. So let me just play this to you. It's really, really short. So it says, set up two-step verification now to add an extra layer of security to your online accounts. Two-step verification requires a second step, which only you can access, making it harder for cyber criminals to steal your information, even if your password has been compromised.
Two-step verification instantly.
Okay, as I press play on this, we did check before we went to record the episode, and it did appear that that Reddit is actually suffering some service issues at the moment, as is X. So I don't know if there's a bit of a DDoS or something going on with Reddit, but is this going to play now? Let's see. I think it'll play now. Hang on.
Two-step verification instantly toughens up your online security, even if your password's been compromised. Turn on two-step verification now.
It's a great video. It's really, really brief, 15 seconds. So there's a woman sat on the bus on a mobile phone, and there's a guy looking at her, and then she basically on her phone turns on two-step verification. It says her password's compromised, and then all of a sudden she grows larger and comes into this massive suit of armor, looks at the guy in the face, and then boops him on his nose. So it's yeah, it's a really, really strong message. It's great to see it. It just came up on my Reddit feed, which I was like, it's brilliant that they're pushing this out.
A lot better than TikTok's one.
Wasn't that better than TikTok? We looked at TikToks last week with the cowboy and the cowgirl, sorry, and all the Matrix stuff. That message there from the UK government is clear. It's engaging. Half the time. Yeah. In 15 seconds, they've got the message across. So well done, UK government, for doing that. I was impressed.
That's cool.
Right. Luke, you've got, what's your story this week?
Nothing too exciting, this one. It's just something that happened today, really. So my partner was looking for an old phone of hers to basically put an OT SIM card in it so we can get OT priority, so she could book some event tickets with like the early access that they give. And I mean, my phone's not unlocked. I think her iPhone is unlocked, but she didn't want to have like her device out of action while she's using this OT SIM card. So she sort of found an old device, charged it up, and I'm surprised it charged, to be honest. This is quite a few years old, but it charged up fine. And yeah, it comes on as it was, I guess, the day it was left into a drawer, and it's wasn't wiped, but it was thankfully behind biometrics, although it did ask for a password before you could use biometrics. And I guess, yeah, this little story here is luckily she remembered the password, but I guess, yeah, if she didn't, it would have been potentially quite difficult to get into that device, and without having to force a reset on it, and even then might have been a bit tricky. But yeah, no, it was just a little story there, I guess, about when you're sort of done with a device, remember to back up the files from it, your photos, any important data, and factory reset it, maybe, if you're not going to use it ever again. Remove memory cards and perhaps recycle it or sell it.
There's a couple of things I think is really important in that. And like if you hadn't have been able to remember the password, you might have gone, I'll just dispose of it, which could be like recycling or whatever. But then you might not be able to wipe it. Like you might, if you don't know the password, like there probably is a way to like wipe it without having access to the password, but you might not know that.
But an average user, wouldn't.
No. So you might just chuck that and dispose of it. But then if someone got hold of that and it ended up at a phone recycling place, there will be a way to bypass that lock. There'll be a way to bypass the lock screen.
Old device as well, right? So
the older the device, the easier it is, right? Because older devices, there's always like a little back door. It used to be on like some Android versions, on the like sign-in screen, you go into accessibility mode, and then you go into the help, and in the help there'd be like a YouTube video embedded, and you could then like go to it'd break out into the YouTube app, and then that would break. There was ways to do it, right? So it's so that's the first thing I think is really important. Like you might not be able to wipe it, but someone else might be able to access it.
Yeah.
So, and the second one, it reminds me of a story we had last week where we spoke about Windows 10 going end of life. And Microsoft's advice is if you buy a new device, recycle your old device. But they're not very good at telling you how to safely recycle. And this is, again, how the words matter, right? Safely, securely dispose of your device. Safely. If they'd have just said that, maybe they did. I didn't pick up on it. But using that kind of phrasing, safely dispose of your device, securely dispose of your device, that makes you think, oh, how do I securely dispose of my device? Maybe I should secure my data. How do I do that? And the instructions should be really, really clear.
No, yeah. There's probably, I guess on Android and iPhone, you can probably find some resources on like the brand's website, right, on how to do that sort of thing, perhaps, and how to factory reset. But yeah, most users may not even think about it. And most, your personal devices, you just throw it in a bin, or like you said, and
you take it to the tip and put it in the recycling bin. But what happens? They probably go off to either a recycling center, where if it's damaged, they might just like break it up and sell it for parts. If it's not damaged, it might end up in a shop on a high street for sale or on eBay. And it's not. The other thing I think is people might think, oh, if I take the SD card out, like Android phones, a lot of them have SD cards. Well, if I take the SD card out, I've removed the memory. It doesn't quite work like that, though, does it? That's like all of your stuff saved on the device. So,
yeah, I think especially if it's a really old device as well, it's probably not got all the security features or encrypted storage and stuff. So, things to think about. And,
I've got a Google Pixel 1 here somewhere. So that's like, 8 years old now? But it's only over the last few years that, the secure enclave and the Titan chip and stuff like that have become kind of standard on these devices. So it's a good tip. Yeah, if you've got an old phone or you get a new phone, don't just chuck the old one in the drawer, wipe it first. I need to check. It's funny. I've got an iPad here with a smashed screen. I probably need to make sure that that's been wiped.
That might be a bit trickier.
Yes, it still works. Just so, yeah. Did you have anything else this week?
No, I think that was it.
Okay,
to be honest,
let me. I've got one thing I want to show you. So, you haven't seen this before, and I've seen this, and a couple of weeks ago, I caught up with Simeon Quarry, and Simeon Quarry is the CEO at Vivida. Now, in all my years of security awareness, I hadn't looked at Vivida because Vivida don't offer phishing, right? Vivida they offer training, but they're not a company that has a phishing solution. And we were always in the market for a phishing solution. We were never really in the market for training because we used to make our own. So Vivida's strapline is making learning for organizations unforgettable. And it was quite interesting having a chat with Simeon and finding out, the real thoughts behind them. They've got some big names that use them. This is not a sponsored placement. This is not a sponsored listing. If you are at a different vendor and you've got an interesting product you want us to talk about, reach out to us. So here are Vivida. And let me show you. I've been given early access to a tool, which is a new feature of Vivida's, which Simeon's only just started talking about on LinkedIn, called Vivida Reels. And I've just signed in, and this is Vivida Reels. It's a new learning method, learning experience that they're launching. You can kind of guess what it's based on by the name. And it's points-based, gamified, points-based. So I thought, let's watch some of this and see what we think. I've only just looked at a couple. I've got 10 points. You haven't seen this at all.
No,
Let's see what we think. So when we look at the screen, for those of you that are listening and not watching, jump onto YouTube if you want. But those of you that are watching, you can see here, it looks very similar to TikTok or Reels. We've got hearts. We can forward these. There's a little description down in the bottom corner, tells you who's made it, the title of the video. And these videos follow a kind of TikTok, Instagram Reels aesthetic. You can like and share these with colleagues. So you can heart them, you can send them to colleagues, and then you can just use the arrows. And on mobile, you can just swipe, I think, to the next one. So
over the last few days, our office has been hit with an increasing number of phishing attempts. Just this morning, a colleague was nearly caught out by one of these scam emails. Do you mind helping me out?
Yeah, come on. Updated my password to my email address just last week to include special characters.
Whoa! Oh, well, I changed mine.
Okay, this deal's worth how much? What if I just change the price by removing this zero? Ah, I can see it's working on a company share drive. This is good.
So if I'm not engaged, and apologies about the stopping and starting on this, what we can see with these is that each one is a different visual style. Each one's a different visual aesthetic, which I thought was really cool. And you can like them. And then it pops in a question. So now it's like, to what extent do you agree with the following statement? I know who to contact when I feel uncertain about a security-related issue. So there's a little culture assessment in there as well,
right.
which I believe that you if my organization had this out, I'd get the measurement metric on that. So there's a little cultural insight embedded within a learning experience that someone might be doing. And it's like, oh, okay, I am. To what extent do I agree? I know how to contact when I feel I strongly agree with that. Submit. What do you think? Like, I was quite excited by this, but what do you think?
Yeah, it's definitely a different take, right? I've never seen anything like it. Obviously, outside of TikTok and stuff, but for a security training sort of platform, it's quite a cool idea. I think maybe some people might get a bit bored of it once the sort of novelty wears off a bit. It's a bit of a, I don't quite understand. Maybe are people expected to go to this destination on their tea break and lunch breaks and have a little flick through?
Well, this is an interesting one, right? Most of what you've said is exactly what I was thinking. I think it's fresh, right? And I think we've seen a lot of people doing the same thing for some time. And I was like, this disrupts a little bit. Okay. Someone's trying something new. And I love that. It feels like I've been in this game long enough that I saw all the phishing companies get bought up. And then all of a sudden someone started doing behavioral stuff. And now everyone does behavioral stuff. And, I was chatting, I was actually chatting with someone at CyberSafe today. And it's like, we're on the cusp of a new, industry experts think we're on the cusp of like the next wave of cyber awareness. Something probably AI based is going to happen. And here we are. Someone's actually looked at where people spend a lot of their time, So they've gone, where do people spend most of their time? TikTok, Reels. Let's try and bring that into this space. And yes, okay, some of these might not be as engaging, and this might not work at a top legal firm, right? Where you've got older generation lawyers and stuff consuming content. But if you look at some of the target demographics now on who the most vulnerable are, it is the TikTok generation. It's the younger people that perhaps aren't so aware of how to stay safe, or maybe aren't aware of, don't care. So they're more carefree, so maybe they don't care about their data as much because they haven't got homes to lose and stuff.
Hi, I'm Gemma, and welcome
This looks
to the
great.
Social Engineering Labs. Here at the
I mean, it's a really nice looking video.
Well, a few things to sort of say, I guess, is one would be nice. It might be a feature that they've got or that they're thinking of, or maybe this is an idea that I've come up with, but having the ability for a business to put their own ads in between, like you'd see on TikTok, you'd have business ads popping up, but your security team could put their own advert in between these of
join our security webinar in 2 weeks time, or
champion network, or password manager, and that'd be quite a cool little thing maybe to have. Every other flick, every few flicks you can get a little ad pop up. The other thing quickly was I think this sort of thing they need to consistently make videos, right? Because you're probably going to get through their library quite quickly if it's not going to be huge or regularly sort of maintained and stuff. I don't quite know what the idea is there. Obviously, be interesting to know that.
So I think that is the plan. I think the continuous creation of content is the plan. But I'll tell you what, I'm actually going to have a chat with Simeon, and what you've said there, I'll ask him and we'll find out and we can feed that back. Yeah.
There's the other thing I think, like you said, like certain businesses it would probably do quite well at, especially with the whole share thing, right? You could share it to a Slack channel or a Teams channel and have a laugh about something. So it's definitely a pretty good way. You wouldn't, I don't think anybody would share a piece of standard training content and be like, oh, look at this. This is great. And this is a really cool thing. But this sort of thing you could see happening.
Yes.
With these videos, but
absolutely. It also, so these are all broken down by category type as well. So it is possible that you could pull one of these out and use it. You could, so a gateway in could be, and I'll have to confirm this. I'm pretty sure Simeon said this, but say you clicked on a phishing email, for example. I could send you one of these related to phishing.
Yeah.
And that could be your gateway in. Want to see more of these? Click here. And then you're in the platform. And then you're going through it. So
as far as well, they're going to have to put a timer on potentially, or a setting, so people don't get caught up watching these for the rest of the day.
That would, what, people are consuming too much training in your organization.
Yeah.
What a lovely problem to have. But yeah.
TikTok's dangerous, and this might become dangerous. All the employers will be just watching these all day, not actually doing work. But at least they'll be secure.
Sorry, I didn't do my work. I spent too much time doing my security awareness training.
Yeah.
Said no one ever. Yeah, maybe. That'd be good. Yeah. Look,
cool.
I'll have a chat with Simeon. Some of the feedback you've given is brilliant. So I'll have a chat with Simeon. We'll show a couple more of these in a future episode, and you can get the full experience. But yeah, it's lovely to see someone doing something new and bringing something fresh to the market. If you're a rival vendor and you've got something fresh that you're bringing to the security awareness training market, let us know and we can share it and show it. That'd be cool. Right. That's pretty much it for this week. Another week has come and gone.
Yeah. Episode 19 was this one?
Episode 19. There you go. So we are now in the really good upper echelons of podcasts. Not many podcasts we're like top 10% ever of podcasts now. We've done this many episodes. And I just want to give a shout out to some of our listeners around the world, because we have We have a lovely group of listeners. People rarely reach out to us, but our statistics tell us that we are constantly in the tech news top 50 in Costa Rica. So if you're listening to us in Costa Rica, hello. We have listeners in Austria, Finland, the Netherlands, Poland, Norway, the UK, America, and so wherever you're listening around the world, thank you for listening to the podcast. We do this because we love it. We are independent. We're not backed by any vendor, no company. We do this for the love of our own hearts, and purely for you guys to benefit from it. So thank you for listening. If you want to reach out to us, hello@riskycreative.com is the email address. Haven't mentioned the newsletter. So we have a newsletter, 500-ish subscribers. It comes out every Monday along with every episode. And it covers all the stories we talk about. Links to all of the topics we discuss in the episode can be found in the newsletter. You can search for the awareness angle on LinkedIn, or you can visit riskycreative.com and sign up there.
Awesome.
Right. I think that's it. Lovely.
Yeah.
Have a good week.
Yeah, and you and all our listeners. Well, see you in the next one.
Will do. See you next time.